I've had the Scuf Infinity, I've had the Scuf Prestige, now I'm giving the Scuf Instinct Pro a try. I didn't really like the Scuf Infinity very much, in fact I didn't like it at all. The Scuf Prestige was an improvement, but it still wasn't my favourite controller. The Scuf Instinct though, does that improve on the formula? Well, let's find out. Spoiler, yes it does. It took me a while before I decided I wanted to get one. I haven't really liked the previous Scuf Xbox controllers, and for this one, it was a lot of money, and I didn't really want to drop that much money to find that it was just another Scuf controller that I don't like. But they did an offer which meant you could max up your Scuf Instinct Pro for no more than £205, do whatever you want to it. And I thought that's still a lot more money than I've spent on any other controller, but let's give it a try just for something to do. So I picked it up. When it comes to the shell, there's a decent amount of options. The options that you get for the shell aren't hugely different to any other controller that you can get where you can customize the shell. I went for a nice plain gray. I don't really like all the fancy stuff, and I changed the thumbstick accents, changed the thumbsticks, changed the buttons, changed the bumpers, triggers, everything else, but I tried to keep it nice and clean, keep it to a sort of pro look rather than a silly look. What I found is that most of the accent colors don't actually really go with the shell designs that well. Quite often I like to match them and make them look like they're all a part of one cohesive design, but I feel that the colors on the accents are so limited that it's difficult to find a shell where they really fit in, which did help with the design of what I went for, but I think it's a little bit limiting. And I would say that I really like the accent around the mute button. I think they've done a nice little thing there of really calling out the mute button for the headset and showing you where that is. And also you'll notice there is a Scuf logo flash just on the left hand grip there, which is really nice. I like it, it's a nice touch. Now the thing that everyone wants to know is the extra features that it adds. We've got the paddles, we've got the changeable thumbsticks, we've got the hair trigger options. Those are the things that people really want to know about. Let's talk about the paddles. Now, when it comes to the paddles, this is where we see a big improvement on the Scuf Instinct Pro. Finally, Scuf have got rid of that ridiculous pattern of paddles that they had along the back where they all came down vertically, kind of like piano keys. They were always the main reason why I hated the previous Scuf Xbox controllers, but with this one, they've mixed it up. They've actually made it buttons on the back of the grips that are much easier to press. Now, I say they're much easier to press. The two on the outside, which are closest to the grips, those are really easy to press. Big thumbs up for those. The ones just on the inside, they are a lot easier to press than previous carnations of Scuf controllers, but they're still a little bit tricky. You can press them with the tops of your fingers. Up here you can push them in, or you can just adjust your finger slightly and push them with the tip. I prefer to press with the top of the finger, but sometimes it's a little uncomfortable. It's not ideal, but it does work. The main problem with the paddles being laid out like this is the fact that you can't actually press two paddles on the same side at the same time, just because of the way it's laid out. Possibly not a huge issue, but it does mean you have to really think about your layout. Another thing I like about the paddles in this Scuf Instinct Pro is the remapping process. In the past, they've given you this little electromagnetic key. If you go back and look at my previous Scuf videos, you'll notice that the key, far from ideal. In fact, it was terrible. It very rarely worked the way I needed it to, and it's very, very fiddly. With the Scuf Instinct Pro, they've actually managed to make it a lot better. They've scrapped the key, and they've gone the way of hex gaming controller types where you press a button to put it into remapping mode, and then you remap, press the button again, and that's it. The buttons are mapped. What is also improving this time around is you can finally have multiple profiles. This is the first Scuf controller for Xbox that I'm aware of, at least of all the ones that I've had, where you can have more than one profile, which is very, very handy. While it's great that you can have multiple profiles, the problem for me with this is that they're not numbered 1, 2, 3 on 3 separate buttons. It's one button. The profiles are signified by colors that light up right underneath the mute button, and you have red, green and blue profile, and this is fine. But the problem is I struggle with identifying colors in games. You're probably going to be a lot better at this than me, but for me it's easier to say, right, Rainbow Six Siege, that's my main game that I play, right? So profile number 1 on my Elite Series 2 will be for Rainbow Six Siege because it's my first game that I'll play. Second game might be Forza Horizon as my second favourite game, so that goes into slot number 2. When it comes to colours, it's a little bit more tricky to tie them together. It's just not as intuitive as having numbers. The key point to take away here is that the paddles are much, much better than the Infinity and the Prestige, and that you can have 3 profiles, that is a winner in my book for Scuf. Now, let's talk about hair triggers on the Scuf Instinct Pro. It's not like the Elite controller where you have 3 different settings, which is off, slightly on, and fully on. On this, you still only get the 1 level, much like most other controllers with hair triggers. And you have little buttons here just on the back, or little switches on the back that you slide. Now, these are good little switches. In order to enable the hair triggers, you just pull the switches out towards the outside of the controller. Very, very simple to do while you're in gameplay mode without adjusting your grip or anything like that. It's so easy to switch from default trigger to hair trigger. Switching back from hair trigger to default trigger though isn't quite so easy, because when you're in hair trigger mode, the switch is very flush with the grip. Another first world problem with the controller. The fact is, you have hair triggers, they work very well. That's just a small problem. The other thing with the hair triggers is that these are very different hair triggers to any hair triggers that you have felt on any other controller, such as the Elite Series 2. The only controller that this hair trigger comes close to is the Hex Gaming controller, or a default controller where you've installed the Extreme Rate Clicky Trigger Kit. The Clicky Trigger Kit, and the very same thing on the Hex Gaming controller, makes pressing the trigger pretty much like clicking a mouse button. It is so short, like 1 to 2 millimeters of pull maximum, and that is exactly what Scuf have done with the hair triggers here on the Scuf Instinct Pro. It is like clicking a mouse button. It is very, very short, very, very immediate, and it is very, very good. Now, a great feature that they've brought to the Scuf Instinct Pro over from the Scuf Prestige is the shell and the changeable nature of it. I really love this feature from Scuf. It is an absolutely brilliant thing to add. The shell is held on by a magnet. It's not going to just fall off, but if you just prise it away with your fingers, it's very easy to just remove the shell, get inside the controller. This allows you to change the thumbsticks, and more importantly, the shell should you want to change the design of it at any point. You can buy shells from Scuf. Because the shells are very unique to Scuf, you can only replace them with Scuf shells at this moment in time. I really like it, and I hope they manage to keep that up with every controller that they do. Now, once you've got the shell off, you can also replace the thumbsticks and the D-pad. When you buy the controller, when you spec it up, you get a choice of D-pad. You can choose from the standard default D-pad type to the hybrid type, as they call it, similar to the 2 options you get with the Elite controller. And you can also change which kind of sticks you get with the controller. You can get slightly taller sticks, you can get a couple of dome sticks or 2 concave sticks. When I spec'd up the controller, I thought those were the only sticks that I would get, but you actually get 2 other sticks that come with the controller as well, so you get bonus sticks. The sticks feel much more solid than previous sticks. The sticks with the Scuf Instinct feel a lot better. The sticks are a nice shape, they're a nice design, they have a little Scuf logo emblazoned on them. They're very nice little sticks. Big improvement on previous ones. You can buy extra sticks from the Scuf store online. However, it's difficult to get exactly the ones you want. You can either buy a couple of different sets of 2, or you can buy a complete set of 4. You can't just mix and match individual sticks depending on what you want. So again, that does cause you to possibly spend more money than you want to. Scuf, please look at your pricing models for how you get money from customers. This is really Scuf's big downside. Aside from all the main stuff with the controller that you'd expect, such as the paddles, the hair triggers, etc., what other features do we have with the Scuf Instinct Pro? Well, not so much a feature, but it feels really good in the hands. You can spec it up to not have rumble. I keep rumble in. I like rumble. If you don't like rumble, fair enough, you can take it out. It'll make the controller lighter, but I like it. Left it in. There is no built-in battery. It takes 2 AA's. You can charge the controller while you play using the provided braided USB-C controller. It is USB-C, which is very nice, and also I believe it stops the controller being wireless, but you do get a nice long cable with it. It goes from USB-C into the controller to USB-A, so it will plug into your Xbox. You don't need any kind of converters. It's a very, very flexible controller. My main issue with this controller, and I said it at the top of the video pretty much, is the price. I paid £205 to max out pretty much everything, barring removing the rumble. If I hadn't have got it on an offer, it would have been about £260, £270 here in the UK. That's a lot of money. That's £100 more than an Elite Series 2. The Scuf Instinct Pro has really stepped up from the previous iterations of Scuf Xbox controllers. Scuf, you've done a great job with the Instinct Pro. You really have done a great job. I'm very happy with what you have done. This has now become my main controller, but the price, Scuf, you really need to look into that, because I think it really is a big barrier for you to try and overcome, is what it is. I mean, it's your model. I guess it's working for you. But I think if you drop the price £50, £75, I think you'd find the market would open up quite a bit for you. So that is my video on the Scuf Instinct Pro. I've got to say, very happy with it. If you decide to get one, then please let me know in the comments. Share a picture on Twitter. You can @ me at TootXB. Put a picture up there. Let me know how it looks. I'd love to see what you guys pick from the Scuf store when you buy your Scuf Instinct Pro. You can also get the Scuf Instinct, which is a slightly lower spec model. But if you don't want to spend quite as much money on the Instinct Pro, you can just buy a regular Instinct, which loses just a few small features. It's nothing huge, I don't think. So check out both models if you're interested in a Scuf controller. Thank you very much for watching. If you've liked the video, please remember to hit the like button, subscribe, do all those YouTube things, and make sure you don't miss any more videos that I put out. Thank you very much for watching.